You know, it's easy to fall down rabbit holes when you're searching for the best college scholarships. You only have so much time to devote to searching, finding, applying, and winning scholarships, and you don't want to waste any of it. Today, I'm going to help you solve that problem by explaining the best college scholarships for you to apply for and also help you avoid the scholarships that you shouldn't. So let's get started. I'm Thomas Knapp with Financial Empowerment. It is my mission to help you to pay less for college, automate your savings, and build multiple streams of income. Now, in terms of the best college scholarships, they really might not be what you think. Most people are using two main criteria when they're searching for scholarships in terms of deciding which ones they want to apply for and which ones they don't. And those two criteria is amount and effort. And those are actually conflicting ideas, but typically people are going to look for scholarships with higher dollar amounts and say, I want to win those because I don't have to win as many of them, and winning just a single scholarship that gives me $25,000 is huge. That's way better than applying for, some of these smaller scholarships. But also, they want to apply for scholarships that require the least amount of effort. Think about sweepstakes scholarships. Now, what is a sweepstakes scholarship? Well, a sweepstakes scholarship is basically a scholarship that you give some personal information to some sort of company or organization or online presence, and then they basically are entering you into a sweepstakes. It's like entering the lottery. You don't have any control over whether or not you win. It's not based off of your ability or credentials or anything like that. You're just a name thrown into a hat that they draw from, and that's all it is. Obviously, the downside is there's nothing to differentiate yourself to give yourself a higher chance of winning. It's just a lottery. And the downside is it's possible, and I would almost say likely, that the organizations that are collecting your information for this scholarship are going to use that information to sell to advertisers in order to make money. There's often no product involved here. They're just taking your information, selling it to somebody else who's now going to send you a bunch of spam emails or even letters to your house. And then they just pick one of you and give you $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000. But they made way more than the amount that they're giving one person as a scholarship by selling the thousands of people's information to these other companies. So it's a business model where they get your information, sell it, they make money, and all they have to pay for getting your information is giving one of you some money. Now, typically someone is that one lucky person that gets $1,000 or $5,000, but your odds of winning are very, very low, and your odds of getting a lot of spam is very, very high. So in general, I do not recommend and don't encourage anybody to apply for these sweepstakes scholarships, because you might think, oh, but it's just 5 minutes to fill this out and then I'm entered, I could win some money. That's true, but typically people that do apply for sweepstakes scholarships don't just apply for one. They apply for a whole bunch. And so if you add 5-10 minutes up over the course of a ton of applications, now you may have spent multiple hours or more applying for all of these sweepstakes that you may not win any of them. And that time you spent giving just 5 or 10 minutes at a time to these tons of scholarships that you likely won't win, you could have devoted that same time to a different scholarship that we'll talk about here in a bit that you had a higher likelihood of actually winning. Now, going back to the other criteria people usually use, we're talking about the dollar amounts and specifically looking at those high dollar amounts. Those should be worth it, right? Because they're such big amounts. I could pay for like a whole semester with one win. So, I mean, yes and no, right? Basically, the issue with the big scholarships is you don't have to worry about them being some sort of scam or just collecting your information. However, they are such high dollar amounts that just like you are thinking, man, I really got to win this big scholarship, hundreds of thousands of people around the country, or even some of these are international, around the world, could be thinking about the same thing and are applying for these giant scholarships. So the competition is huge for these national scholarships, which you could win tens of thousands of dollars from one scholarship. So you have to keep that in mind, that the sweet spot for winning scholarships is not the least amount of effort possible, and it's not the highest amount possible. It's actually in between. Now, before I get into that sweet spot for scholarship applications, I do want to say that I'm not trying to discourage anybody from applying for these giant scholarships, because especially if you think that you're a really good candidate and that you think you have a really good chance of winning, then it would be amazing to win a huge scholarship that covers tens of thousands of dollars of your college education. That would be amazing. My point is to say, don't disproportionately give your time to these scholarships, and certainly don't only dedicate your time for applying for scholarships to these big scholarships. You have to have a balanced approach. And that leads us into the scholarship application strategy that we're going to talk about. So this strategy includes these big ticket items, these scholarships that offer tens of thousands of dollars as awards. You know, we're talking the Coca-Cola scholarship, the Gates scholarship, the Elks scholarship, and all those like them. Tons of money getting awarded with these scholarships. I think that you should take one of those, just one, each month if you can. There's not necessarily one due every single month that you will qualify for, but just pick one of them in a month, one big ticket item that you want to apply for. In addition to that, take 2 scholarships that fall into what we call a medium dollar amount level. And that's gonna fall into more like a $5,000 range. Say like 3 to 5, maybe pushing 7. That's kind of like the medium range. Once you get into like the 10,000 and up, those are higher ticket scholarships that are gonna have significantly more competition. These medium level ones are still gonna be competitive, but not have nearly as many as the $25,000 award. And then I recommend looking at smaller scholarships. Now, what's a small scholarship? Really anywhere around $1,000, maybe like $500 to $2,000. These are kind of that smaller scholarship range. You could even push that up to $2,500 if there's a handful that you're interested in. But I would focus on trying to put 3 smaller scholarship amounts into your strategy in a month. So if we kind of review this strategy, we're looking at 1 big scholarship, 2 medium scholarships, and 3 small scholarships every month. That's only 6 in a month. It's not overwhelming. You can do 6. And when we're talking about these bigger ticket items, usually they have multiple rounds for these high dollar scholarships. So all you're really having to focus on is round 1. You're just talking about getting that first foot in the door, which is usually some sort of questionnaire or just submitting your information. A lot of times essays for those kinds of scholarships are actually like round 2 or 3. So you don't even necessarily need to submit an essay in round 1. So don't get too wrapped up in all the complexities of the big scholarship amounts. Just focus on step 1, round 1, and get your foot in the door. But then definitely dedicate some time to these 2 medium and 3 small scholarships, because the competition is going to be significantly lower for those scholarships, so your likelihood of winning is significantly higher. And this makes sense, right? Because just like when you were considering like
$500, I mean, I don't know if I would want to apply for a scholarship for $500.
Everybody thinks that way. Everybody's like $500, maybe not. Well, so because of that, there's a lot less people applying for those $500 scholarships than you think there are, because everybody's like,
but if I only have time to apply for 1 scholarship, I'm going to pick the one that could win me 20 grand, not the one that's going to win me $500.
That's why I don't recommend only applying for those big ones. These smaller ones, you sometimes might be the only one who applies. And actually, you're more likely to find less competition if you go for a smaller scholarship that's also a local scholarship. Now, what is a local scholarship? A local scholarship is offered by a store where it's just a mom and pop store that is only owned by, this family that's here, or, a local newspaper where they don't have a branch of their newspaper in New York if you live in Wyoming, like they're here in your city, in your town. It's just this one company. If they offer a scholarship, it's probably just something they stick in the local newspaper, or something you might have to actually go into their business and ask, hey, do you guys offer a scholarship? And if they do, and it's say $1,000 scholarship, you might be one of only a handful of people that even knows it exists. The competition every single year for those is gonna be way less. I actually won one of these scholarships. I think I got pretty lucky. It was a $2,000 scholarship, and it was a renewable scholarship, which means I got $2,000 over the course of multiple years. So it actually ended up being more than $2,000 that I won total, but it was some local company that I had never even heard of until I was doing this and searching for scholarships. Like I said, I just found it in some newspaper and I was like, well, I'm gonna apply for it. And so I did, and I honestly, I think I was the only person that applied, but if I wasn't, there was only a couple people that applied, and they were happy. They were super excited. They wrote me a letter with the, congratulations and all that sort of stuff. I mean, it was pretty exciting stuff. But again, local scholarships are going to have way less competition, and small local scholarships are even less so, because people that find out about them, again, are going to go, well, but it's only $500. I don't think I'm going to do it. So if you're one of the people that does, you have great odds of winning. All right, so to recap the strategy, you're going to pick 1 big scholarship, 2 medium scholarships, 3 small scholarships, and try to find local ones. And you're going to do this every single month. And so by applying every single month for these 6 scholarships, then you're going to increase your chances. And every month that comes by that you applied for 6 scholarships, let's say you applied for all 6 and you didn't win any of them. But guess what? You now have experience and practice applying for scholarships because you just applied for 6 of them. So the next month, you're gonna be able to apply for 6 more and you're gonna be able to do it faster, and you can probably even reuse some essays from previous months. And then by the time you're getting to, your 3rd, 4th, 5th month of doing this, then you're gonna knock these out like that. And in fact, you might even find yourself being able to apply for more than 6 scholarships in a month because you've gotten so good at it. Now again, this is just a framework. Don't feel like this is super rigid. If you want to apply for 2 super big scholarships in the same month, go for it. Great. I'm not here to hold you back. I'm just here to try to take away some of the overwhelm that people think about when they think about paying for college and they think about applying for scholarships and they're like,
I don't even know where to start.
This is a framework to begin from that you can get started, get the ball rolling, and then you can kind of branch off and expand this however it works for you, but get started. Now, if you want a list of specific scholarships that you can apply for each month, I do have videos that I put out every month with specific scholarships due that month, and I even give a PDF of all the scholarships that you can click on their links, and those are in the descriptions of those videos. So you can check out my playlist and then watch all those monthly videos of scholarships with specifics that you can apply for, and you can even download those PDFs so that you have that list with you so that you don't have to keep checking back. But I would still encourage you to keep searching for local scholarships that only a few people know about, because those are gonna be your best chances of winning. And I also wanna mention that scholarships are not the only way to pay for college. There's actually quite a few strategies on how to lower the cost of college and other ways in order to make money. So I'm putting together a course that's linked in the description for how to lower the cost of college. It's full of strategies to both lower the price and ways to actually pay for whatever's left over. So if you're interested in that, the link's in the description. So remember, low competition means high probability of success. So search for those small local scholarships and they're gonna be your best bet. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos on scholarships and paying less for college. And go ahead and click on this playlist for the specific scholarships each month that you can apply for. Or click on this video that YouTube thinks is what you need to watch next. Stay empowered and we will see you next time. Seriously, click.